And we're live, I hope. Hi, everybody. I am Joy of the Garden and Home with my awesome co host at Healy Meets. It's another Monday. Every other Monday, we do our lives. Sometimes it's on my channel, and next time it will be on Healy's channel. We always welcome guests to come up. I should probably post that on the chat, or yeah, there you go. If you want to come up, you're welcome to. And I have to silence my phone. There you go. All the technical stuff.
That's right. Because I'm doing the same thing. While you doing it, I'm doing it. As you saying the things, I'm like, check. Check.
There should be I should have a checklist, like a permanent checklist. But I've got my info streaming down at the bottom. Healy's will be up shortly. So if you need any information from us, you can reach out directly. All right. So we always start off with garden updates from, every 2 weeks, see where we're at. So, and let people come into the chat. I know Growing Out the Box is in France right now. Some of you who watched on my channel knows that because you were just in the chat. He had a little bit ago. So hopefully you'll make it here after that. Yeah, he was in Paris, so he did all the scenery, touristy stuff yesterday and the other day, and then today he's in the countryside eating figs. So, obviously I'm jealous. Who wouldn't be? It just looks so, picturesque. And I mean, I've been to France, not the country of France, in the countryside, but I've been to like the touristy stuff. But I've been to other parts of Europe within the country, and the air is just different. Wherever you go somewhere else, the air is different, and you just like, it brings back that feeling and the energy of like, to be somewhere different where the air is different. Hi, Chris. Good to have you as always. Chris has been a great supporter, great chatter. Love having him here. All right. So my update for the week, I released a video. Was it yesterday, I believe? I'm trying to be more consistent this week because I missed like a whole week and a half last time. So I power washed my patio. It's working out like every 2 years that I do it. I want to do it every year, but it doesn't work out that way. And the algae builds up and the dirt accumulates, everything else. And a little bit of the house. I try not, my husband says don't do the house too much because I get too close and I like melt the paint off. Hey, Ro, nice to have ya. So yeah, that was really, it's always satisfying to get a clean patio because it's like black on one side and then you do a strip and now it's white again. So I shared a little bit of that in the video. But the last video was definitely a lot of some highs and most of the lows, which is losing my majority of my pole beans I've lost to, I'm pretty sure it's voles because I know there's voles in that space. So they nibbled off the stalks. So it's just, dead going up. I think I have 2 left. They also killed my only watermelon, Hope. And it was already a nice size. And it's only a crimson sweet. So it wasn't going to get much bigger. But it was so close. So close. I could have gotten at least one, but no. So that was a real bummer. But like last year, I would have been like so horribly like distraught, and I would have probably cried and stuff. But this year, I was just like, yeah, whatever. Just another loss in the garden. So at least I've gotten over that hurdle of sanity with the garden. Hey, Mike's Chaotic Gardening, nice to have you. And a few other things that I don't care as much about losing. And then as far as like the gains, the tomatoes are finally blushing, so I can finally start getting some real slicer tomatoes. I've been enjoying the cherries. With the few beans I pick, I saute that with the cherry tomatoes and just like let it all get mushed together, and it's just so good. But simple things are just so delicious sometimes. But it's not that it's simple, but it's because this is one of the points I'm going to get to later. It's because it's homegrown and it tastes so much better to begin with that it's so satisfying. Like the myriad of flavors you get with
Mm-hmm.
the beans, even the beans by itself, like you don't get that same beans is pretty bland to begin with. But you just get more complexity in your beans when you grow it yourself than you do when it's from who knows where in in the supermarket. And the tomato,
Mm-hmm.
forget it. And this is a volunteer cherry tomato. I don't even know what it came from, like the parent. But the just complexity of the flavor, it's so rich. It's so good. Oh my god, I want one right
I know. It sounds like you about to have a look like you get ready to leave us and go eat.
now. Oh man. Yeah, it hasn't been the best. We're in a drought. I'm pretty sure we're in a drought. We haven't had rain in a while. So it's pretty baking out there, but making the best of it. How is your garden doing, Healy?
So I am here as I added to my name. So Southern California zone 10B/11A, and it's been hot. I know heat, hot temperatures are relative, but for my area, it has been in the upper 80s, not quite 90 yet, but upper 80s. And if you know anything about Southern California, you know, sunny and 72 is where we sit. So we're about 15 degrees higher than that. And so it's hot. I am still recovering from an injury I incurred about 3 weeks ago. I am much better than what I was then, but still not completely recovered. And I say that because, as we mentioned in our last live stream, make sure you check that out where we talked about gardening through planned and unplanned absences. Joy had a planned absence, i.e., a vacation, and I had an unplanned absence, i.e., an injury. I say all of that to say that I have not been in my garden on a regular basis. I did record a garden update yesterday or Saturday. I can't remember. And I'm going to edit and upload. It's pretty long. It's about an hour. I'm going to try to cut it down a little bit. So you'll see what the garden looks like. And immediately after I recorded that video, I started doing some work because it was in pitiful shape. Just imagine having a, a full-ish garden that has been devastated by heat. That's what my garden looked like. So I had a lot of pruning. I had just a lot of pruning, some bottom watering, which I know we're gonna kind of talk about in a little bit. My garden is green. It is full, but it is dying
Mm.
because of the heat, the lack of regular watering, because I haven't been out there in the garden. And that's kind of what it looks like. I do have several very small watermelons. I know I'm not ready for watermelon wars, David, 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 Corey. Um, but I've been saying this for like 2 years, but next year I'm hoping to do cantaloupe wars because I have one cantaloupe. It's probably about the size of, I don't know, maybe like half grocery store size.
Mm.
Say things in like grocery store size. So it's on its way. It's still alive. Even through this heat and not watering as consistently as I should have. But y'all, you know what I'm saying? Might be 2026 cantaloupe wars. But that's how my garden is. It is just heat attacked, which has also invited some pests. And I know y'all saw my YouTube short. Every year since 2022, I have gotten a new pest. This year, for the first time, I have a rat.
Ooh.
As far as I know, it's just one rat, but it's a rat. It is not a mouse. Y'all check out that YouTube short. It is a rat. Uh, we have deployed some mechanisms. I have not seen a rat since that same day because the same day I saw it and I recorded that YouTube short, went to Home Depot, you know, got some stuff, and I haven't seen the rat, but I need proof of death. Because I need to see that it's gone. You
Yeah.
know, I'm hoping that it wasn't a female. I'm hoping
Right.
she wasn't pregnant.
Right.
I've only seen one thing that was bitten off or eaten, and it was a low hanging cucumber, but nothing else in the garden has been touched. And I do have things growing. Nothing else has been touched. So hopefully the rat is gone. I don't know. But that's that's my garden these past 2 weeks.
I I might get on in that cantaloupe wars because I was doing pretty well with the plant. Like it was growing way faster and way more vigorous than the watermelon, and it was the first thing to get attacked. So the critters like the cantaloupe a lot more. So if I'm gonna do this next year, which I will, I'll have
Yes.
to figure out a way to like I don't know, elevate it up in the roof or something. It's just somewhere where the critters can't get to it because oh my goodness. But like the first year I was able to grow them successfully until the pests found them, and then now it's a constant battle. So yeah, every year some new pest comes in. All right, let's see who else came in. Glory's Garden, hi. I enjoy your everyday post that you really work hard on there. Appreciate
Hmm.
that. What do we got here? Oh, was it David? No, Chris said Haley's story reminds me of the issue of being self-sufficient. What was it? It's a nice idea, but it takes a catastrophe to lose it all. Community is important. That's very true.
Yeah, I do. I agree with that. I'm not a community type person though, but I do agree that having being more than a one man or a one woman show definitely has its benefits,
Mhm.
for sure. But I'm doing what I can,
Oh, you
basically
were in the
a
community
one
though.
woman show. So,
You're part of a
well,
community.
I mean, yes. So the social media of, in my
Oh,
case, the YouTube garden community, yes. But
yeah.
I was taking it more as like physical,
No, but you
like
are.
right here, like my neighbors or
Oh, okay.
whatever. And I'm just not that person. I'm not that person. So, I do what I can with what I have. But this
I
rat
mean,
dog.
you volunteer.
mm, Oh
Yes.
yeah, I do. I definitely. So yeah, I will go out into the community, but nobody coming in
Right.
in on this property.
Right.
Like I don't roll. I don't
Yeah.
roll like that. And yes, 100,000 benefits of community getting people to help you. I don't have anything against that at all. I 100% support that, just not for me.
Right.
So, and I will go out and help everybody, but inviting people onto my property, that's just not something that I do. So,
Yeah, I understand that.
I mean, I'm saying, and that's just me. That's just how I roll. I know how we go with that.
Yeah.
But that's just what I do, y'all. But this rat though, we gotta get it. But Joy, see, you're letting the cat out the bag. We ain't even. What's our topic for today?
Well, it's a mishmash really, but
It's
like every other day, I come across some short or meme or whatever, and it's
Mhm,
like put eggshells in the ground or put the fish in there or don't overhead water or oh what else? There's so many. Like just these things people say or do or teach, particularly teach, that
mhm,
has been debunked or scientifically disproven or even anecdotally proven. But like it feels like every day is born a new gardener.
mhm.
Every day could be not a smart gardener. So every day these bad advice keeps just coming chugging along, and I'm just like, why do I keep hearing the same stupid things over and over and over? Now I know what affects me is different from what affects you. So it's stupid to me might not be stupid to you. I know that. But I just want to
Mhm.
argue today. So
So basically, what you're saying is there are like garden, uh, for lack of a better word, like garden myths or
yeah.
gardening things, but they aren't scientifically or research based.
Hmm.
They're more like you said, anecdotal. Maybe N equals one experiment. It works in your yard, but like literally nobody else's. But it
Right.
works. It works for you,
Yeah.
and you're happy about it, so you want to share it. Yes, I put eggshells in my I crumble them up and put them around my tomatoes, and I get 50-pound cherry
Yeah,
tomatoes.
right.
Like, you know, but there's
Exactly.
no scientific research, you know, like university lab
Hmm.
um documented research around it. I get it. I
Yeah.
understand.
um, so no, none of this is like I didn't research any of this. What I'm talking about, I'm just talking out my, you know what, just
It's good for a garden rant. And we look, we in
exactly,
August, we transitioning between summer and fall
exactly.
gardens and stuff. Yeah, you know, we need to rant a little bit. That's the drama we have, y'all. We have this this is gardening drama. So we gonna go ahead and rant.
All right, good. Thank you. Because I have some other rant, but I won't go into that. Okay, let's start off with I was gonna start off with something else, but this came to me because I was just watching another channel. I'm gonna say, um, Epic Gardening. His that channel he does with sometimes other creators from across the country. So you get bips and bops from wherever they're at. And one of them, I forget her name now. She's in Florida.
Hmm.
So her issue was currently mildew, downy mildew, like I don't know what other mildew it's called, but it's mildew, where mostly your squash plants
And
have
powdery
that fuzzy
mildew.
powdery mildew. That's it.
Yeah.
Get all
Hmm.
fuzzy on the leaves. But what she said she counteracts it with is to overhead water. And I'm just like, what? This was like news to me because the main talk is never overhead water, blah 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 blah. And then you get the
Hmm.
people that say, but it rains, duh. So I love that. Like it's always a back and forth when you get on those discourse of like people
Hmm.
arguing about the watering situation. But like I don't I understand why we may not want to overhead water. But in general, I lean towards the water like you're supposed to water, which is overhead. Now, so her saying that powdery mildew for her counteracts, I mean, overhead watering for her counteracts powdery mildew is more of a like a checkbox on my corner that says I'm definitely gonna continue to do that for most of my plants. Another reason, another reason to overhead water is spider mites. If you have houseplants and your house is really dry, you have spider mites and you have to mist your plants because they don't like that.
Hmm.
So it can happen outside. If you live in a particularly hot environment, you can have spider mites outside. So,
Hmm.
overhead watering in that case is advantageous. So
Hmm.
that is my that is my argument for don't worry so much about overhead watering.
Hmm. Now,
You
is it
can
because so with the spider mites and I guess even the aphids or other soft-bodied pests and stuff,
right
if
that
you
too.
put like not a mist, we talking about maybe not a jet spray, but something a
Mhm.
little, kind
Like
of
a rain.
forceful to
Yeah.
physically, spray them
Right.
off, like to
Yeah.
get them off of the plant. I would say too, for me, powdery mildew, and I've seen that more this season, this growing season now than in previous years is in my area we had a cooler, wetter winter season. And our warm up started late. And
Mhm.
even though I planted late, I also planted I would say in closer proximity than what I normally plant.
Mm.
So we're thinking, cooler, wetter, season coming into the spring, um, and planting more closely together, I wouldn't say that that automatically means powdery mildew or downy mildew, but it can support the spread. So I think more of my plants have gotten exposed to the powdery mildew because they're closer together. And so the wind blows and the dry spores, they just, fly right over to the plant next to them. Watering overhead. To me, I could see something about watering powdery mildew because you keep the spores wet and maybe on the one plant. if it
Mm.
dries and the wind catches it, then it'll blow,
Ah. Hmm.
to the next plant. So that could be a point for overhead watering.
Yeah.
And plus the rain. I mean, rain obviously waters from above. We used to mist from below way back when, but for a long time we've been watering, from above. So I think having adequate spacing and spacing between plants, but airspace within a plant. Take a tomato plant or a squash plant. You have those big leaves, or you have multiple leaves and branches. It can make things condense and be packed together. Not enough sunlight is coming through. Just, a whole bunch of stuff. For me, I am trying to bottom water more. I think I do that more so when I'm doing my seedlings, but it gets to a point where when a garden grows, I can't even see the soil to bottom
Mhm.
water. I water over the top. I mean, it's I water over the top. I try to bottom water when I can. But I always eventually water overhead.
Mhm.
Does that help with powdery mildew or downy mildew? I don't know. I can't
Yeah.
say, but it's a concerted effort for me to, you know, bottom water or water the soil. Don't water the plant. I mean, I don't know. I've been watering the plants for a long, long time, and I get a harvest every year. No matter what it
Right.
is, I get a harvest every year. So,
Yeah. And they say, the leaves do have ability to absorb that stuff. That's why they want you to fertilize sometimes just the leaves or something. So
yeah, with foliar
watering.
sprays. That's right.
Right.
Yeah. hmm
So there is, a lot for overhead watering. Now, as far as you were mentioning, like proximity of plants, um, I feel like, yeah, that's important too, as far as like if you get worried about splashback. If your plants,
Mm,
your leaves are a little bit closer together, then the water is jumping from leaf to leaf and not just like hitting the soil and then, right back up. So there is something to like tomato is the biggest culprit, I guess, with this whole agenda of not getting splashback because the microbes are coming up on the leaves and causing all sorts of havoc. So you trim the leaves down and stuff. Um, but yeah, if you had the leaves closer together, and this is why tomatoes vine to begin with, is because and they get bushy to on their own if you left them alone. Is
mhm,
so they're covering the space around them so that they're not getting all that splashback. Obviously, you have other problems. So you can do mulch. Obviously, you can do cover crop around your plants, but just not the whole argument of watering overhead is the problem. Is really not the problem. There are so many other ways to counteract issues that you may be having than being all about irrigating just the soil. But
mhm.
that's my piece on that.
Now, Chris made a comment. He said, I'm confused about plant spacing. I've seen some people suggest growing things in every space to protect the ground and be productive. Then again, they say you should
Mhm.
promote airflow.
Right.
Now, you know what, Chris, and I agree with that. In our community, some information does seem to be conflicting. I think because um a lot of times we're speaking in generalities because we're trying to just provide information that can be used by everyone. But every state is different, every zone is different, every neighborhood is different. I might have a different microclimate than my very next neighbor, or certainly the neighbor from one end of the block to the other end. Some one place might have trees, one place is full open to the sun. One person might be growing for profit, one person might just be growing their first tomato plant in a windowsill. So it's so many different variations to try to apply even the most basic um information, which
Mhm.
is why the research and the scientific documented information is being more closely looked at and relied upon versus the garden myths and the anecdotal successes or failures that we have individually. Now, if you're looking at square gardening, which
Hmm.
is definitely a method of growing as much as you can in the small, well, maybe not the smallest place space, but you're trying to maximize your space, so you are growing generally more closely together. Whereas if I had more than a patio or more than a windowsill, maybe square foot gardening is either not for me, or I can grow more spread out. I think you have to look at the conditions that you're growing in, learn about your specific environment. Then you can go out and say, okay, I'm going to grow this plant this month in this soil with this fertilizer and this watering schedule. Um, there are I would agree that there are um universal generals
Hmm.
that will cover like all gardening, but like the 1 second after that, you have to know your own space and
Yeah.
then go from there, because like we all know, what works for one person might not work for another person. um you try, you see what works, you continue doing that until you find something better, or if you try something and it doesn't work, then you just pass it off and you leave it for the next gardener.
Hmm.
So
In regards to square foot method or gardening, I feel like you have to have a variety of plants that have different like heights and different widths, because like you can't just do a square foot gardening of like say cabbage, because that would like be no airflow whatsoever. But if you had one
mhm,
cabbage and some carrots and maybe some lettuce, then I feel like you get that height differential and like space, that things aren't always hogging the space. So
mhm,
yeah, there is something to that small space growing, but I think you just have to finesse it a little bit, a little bit more. Just
yeah.
gotta figure it out. All right, okay. Are we? Let's see what else we got. I know Grow mentioned coffee grounds to raise the acidity of your soil. That's another one of those like how much acid are you really getting out of the used coffee grounds? Because I
Mhm,
feel like it can't be. I mean, you'd have to have quite a bit of it to really make an impact. Like, because I don't know if anybody's done science on that yet. Um, there's a gardener up in Canada. Gardening in Canada is her channel name. She's a soil scientist. She does have some science backed information, but
mhm.
I can't recall if that was one that she's done yet. Um, but as far as coffee grounds, I just incorporate it into my compost and
Mhm.
hope for the best wherever I put it.
My from just the research that I have done on coffee grounds, because some people will use that as a way to help acidify the soil. But if you're applying used coffee grounds, the majority of the acidity you have seeped into your cup of joe to drink.
Mhm.
There is some acidic properties and some acidity left in those spent coffee grounds, but not as much as the unused coffee grounds. And
Yeah.
even with the unused coffee grounds, is not going to be like, okay, I put these fresh coffee grounds in my soil, I water them in, and then the next day, my soil pH has dropped 1 or 2 points. It still takes some time when you're using natural methods and means in your garden. The majority of those things take time as compared to synthetics, which is why some gardeners use synthetic items in the garden, whether it's like a soil mix, a fertilizer, um, or whatever, just synthetic. Period.
Yeah.
Because in most cases with synthetics, you get a more fast acting and more immediate change that you're looking for. With the natural things, it's gradual and it takes time. I'm of the mindset that there can be a place for both in the same garden, synthetic and organic or natural.
Mm.
And organic and natural is two different things because everything that's natural is not organic. Everything organic technically is supposed to be natural, i.e., not synthetic, not lab grown, not lab made, not man made. So I'm gonna stop right there because I don't want to get too far in it. But going back to the coffee grounds, I know a lot of people that use spent coffee grounds
Mhm.
in their soil, not necessarily looking for an immediate change, but a natural and gradual change. And if you have the patience for that, then that's fine. Otherwise, like you said, Joy, you can put the spent coffee grounds in your compost and just let the organisms work on it in the compost and then use your compost down the line. But I've used coffee grounds, I've used the eggshells, the banana peels. I've used some of all of that at one time or another, whether it be directly in the soil, in the compost, making a liquid fertilizer, all the things, all the different ways. I've had varying success based on what I was looking for. I wouldn't necessarily throw anything 100% out, but for the purists who are looking for documented research and university lab approved justification to what they're doing, don't be surprised if you don't find it.
Mhm. Right.
Mhm.
Let's see. So, oh yeah, that was one of the points: the banana peels, the eggshells, the coffee grounds. So yeah, we covered that.
I mean, and
um,
I say if you want to use it, your garden, your rules. You could do whatever you want to do in your garden.
right.
And like I say on my channel, what I do in my garden will not affect yours. I
Right.
promise it's 100%. I could pour gasoline on my squash. I promise you your squash will not be affected. So, your garden, your rules, just I think manage your expectations of the results. Try all the things.
I guess like not to finish yet. Let's take eggshells because that was my mother's last week, and she watches some channels for gardening, and she
Mhm.
happened to come across, I guess, the eggshell one. But what she does is she take a pretty full eggshell and she just drops it on top of the soil of her indoor plants. And I'm just
Mhm.
like, what is this? What the heck is this gonna do? And
Mhm.
I'm just like, where's the disconnect? Like, why? Like, people don't deep. Some people just don't dig deep enough into a subject. They just
Mhm.
like take a 2-second clip and be just like, all right, that's the information I want. That's the information I'm going to use. But it's
Mhm.
just like, I'm just looking at it going, what is this doing? Like, why aren't you more like me? Is what I'm thinking. Why aren't you like researching this? Why didn't you watch more of the clip or whatever? Maybe they would have told you like to crush it or to bury
Yeah.
it or something. It's just like
It's like reading the headline on a newspaper or like the thumbnail to the
right.
videos,
Yes.
eggshell grew 5-pound tomatoes.
Yes.
But like you said, it was a process. You had to get the eggshells, clean and dry them. Some people put them in the
Oh,
oven
yeah.
to dry them. You
Right.
literally have to grind them into a powder almost. And
Yep.
then still mixing them in the soil is not going to be, it's probably going to at the earliest be the next season
Mhm.
that your
Yep.
tomatoes would see the benefit. That's if you grind it into a powder, pretty much.
Mhm.
And the organisms and everything work on it that whole year. So by the next spring, part of the eggshells, the benefits of them will be available. So yeah.
Right. Let's see.
Yeah, see,
Chris.
Chris said it, I watched somebody, basically, and it was all the work.
Oops.
Yeah, yeah, too much. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've done it. I've done the calcium acetate. It's supposed to be like calcium phosphate at first, but now it's really calcium acetate or some other scientific term. But yeah, you basically take the vinegar and you dissolve the eggshell and take the properties out of it. So that's yeah, one way to speed that up.
Hmm. And see David Corey talk about, your own using your own making your own compost. Um, and we've seen that a lot in the garden community, people making their own compost, making their own fertilizers, kind of making their own. And Joy, I know you had a point about the soil, about throwing away soil or reusing
Yeah,
soil. Since we're
right.
talking about making your own compost and making your
Okay.
own, can you talk about that a little bit? Because I think I think that's important, especially with the price of everything, and we're trying to grow more.
Right. So I heard about that like, earlier on in my okay, not earlier, early in my YouTube career, which was like 5 years ago. I started hearing people saying or started asking questions in the chat or something or in the comment section about, you know, uh it was about throwing away soil. And I was just like, what? Who's throwing away soil? I don't understand. Like, are they physically I mean, it's mostly like they're no, there were instances where people would be digging out their raised beds and throwing away soil. But I'm just like, and not necessarily in the garbage. They would just put it, in the corner of their yard somewhere. But
Hmm.
I was just like so dumbfounded by this idea. Who throws away soil? Like soil, right? Like not I don't know what other kind of soil there was, but I was like, why are we throwing away soil when soil is what we need to grow stuff?
Hmm.
So what was my point? Yeah.
Well, did they give reasons why? Is it, oh, this is the end of the season, or this is the end of the year, I'm just
Right.
gonna
They
throw it
felt
away and start
it
fresh? Like,
was
why? Or was
like
it
it was spent.
disease?
No, just it was spent. Like the what is it? The Miracle Grow like fertilizer had finished, so therefore it was useless now. It had no longer had any um what is it? It wasn't robust anymore to grow the next seasons of plants or something. So yeah, that was their mindset that the soil was spent, therefore they were going to buy new soil, so they had to throw out that soil.
So this person was rich. You
I
talking
guess
to
so.
this is
But
this
it
is
seemed like a common thing. It seemed
uh-huh.
like something more people were doing than less people, at least from a certain, I don't know, echelon. I'm just like, who's throwing
Hmm.
away soil? But
Yeah,
yeah, we make our own soil. Yeah, that's one thing I never understood. Where did those people get the idea that you would throw away soil? Like,
hmm.
did I miss the Miracle Grow like agenda that they were saying you must replace your soil every year
You
and
know
buy
what?
new
Miracle
soil?
Miracle Grow probably was telling people that, though. They
I'm sure.
Miracle Grow, they probably were. And this sounds like a person who probably was not as educated on amending the soil, fertilizing the soil, cover crops to, help replenish the soil. And they probably saw somebody told them, or they just read like the clickbait thumbnail, use your soil one time and throw it away. See me, y'all, that hashtag waste not, want not.
Right?
I ain't trying to throw nothing away. That's that's why I can't see the floor in my room right now. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. It's not like that, but I am not throwing away soil. I am replenishing soil, amending soil, fertilizing soil. Now, if I grow, and this is easier for me growing in mostly containers. Let's say I have a 5-gallon bucket. I grow a tomato in it. It has one of the various viruses,
Mhm.
you know, and what is it? FV, VM, FT, all of those different, the
Oh.
tobacco virus, all of the different viruses, right? Now, in that particular bucket, that particular soil, I might throw that out. It may not be worth it to me to try to work on that soil. Now, I could try solarization and try to, heat the disease out of that 5-gallon bucket of soil. there are methods, even if soil is, I don't know, has viruses and fungus
Right.
and or whatever. There's ways that you can salvage the soil.
Right.
But sometimes it's, I think a couple people mentioned, it's basically time and convenience. What are you willing to do versus what are you willing to pay somebody else to do?
Right.
All of that goes into play. And again, I'm gonna keep saying is your garden, your rules. So to me, it's no right or wrong answer. If you want to throw away the soil because you a millionaire and you got money to buy soil like every season or every year, long as you ain't taking the money out of my purse, you go ahead and buy that soil full price. Don't even wait for a sale. However, comma, if you like me and have soil that's like 10 years old and you still, I mean, and
I
I,
don't
I
know.
saw somebody put the till. Oh yeah, Chris said till versus no till. Now that's something too that gets kind of hot and heavy and almost heated.
Mhm.
Till versus no till. You have whole YouTube channels that I have seen, based on the no till method.
Right.
Um, again, if is up to you. If you live in a space and a time and everything, no till works for you, then no till. If you want to turn your soil every season in between every planting, turn it and till it. I don't know, Joy. Do you turn and till your soil, or do you follow a no-till method?
I do aerate certain areas that are more compacted, like all the compost I put on top just like disappears at the end of the season. So I keep working on it. Eventually it will, be less compacted, but for the meantime, yeah, I'm not tilling. I'm just like getting the broad fork and like making air pockets so
Mm-hmm.
that when I put the compost on top, it actually goes into the clay and not just sitting on top. Um, but there are areas like if I was going to start a new space, I would definitely need to till because the grass is. I know there will be more grass, but the current grass
Mm-hmm.
is. I mean, yeah, you could solarize, but still, it is compacted, so it would help speed it up, unless I had truckloads of soil to just dump on top.
Mm-hmm.
In which case, I could do that cardboard and put soil on top thing. But yeah, I haven't tilled per se because I don't have a tiller, but I have
Mm-hmm.
broken up soil as far as that's concerned.
And I think, like you mentioned, that is a difference. If you're starting a garden, um, in ground or just in an area, is virgin soil or soil that hasn't been worked in a long time or ever at all, you have to see what you're working with. So there's um, a measure of kind of digging around to see what you have. Now, once you dig around and see what you have, if it's 100% clay soil, unless you're going to build up on top of it,
Hmm.
6 to 8 inches at least, and then give several seasons for what you're doing on top to, work its way down. If you want to grow in that space, yeah, people might not call it tilling. Oh, well, I'm just turning it over just a few inches. Some
Hmm.
people say if you're working in the top 4 or less inches, it's turning. If you go 4 inches down, then it's tilling. I'm not gonna I'm not, yeah, that that's, it's not that serious to me. You have to do what works for you in your garden, because you might live in a space where the soil is such that you don't have to till it. You don't have to
Right.
really go deep down, into it. I have a tiller. If I ever chose to grow in ground again, I would have to till at least probably the first 2 years of growing. And that's in addition to trying to build the soil up on top. But because that's the type of soil that I have to work with if I was growing in ground. If I was growing above the ground, surface and above, I might turn a little bit, them top couple inches, but I wouldn't have to till so far down. But I mean, hey, to till or not to till, that is the question. David Corey said, till it. Oh,
Right. He's all about the tilling. Someday I'll have enough property to till. How about that? Let's see. What do we got here? We're on 45 minutes. What do I want to argue about next? Um,
oh wait, hold on, Joy, and just right
yeah,
quick. So in the chat, if anybody wants to come up, what is your garden myth? What do you want to rant about? What do you let us know. Come up in the chat, come up in the what you call it? Like in backstage or whatever.
all right,
Come
backstage.
up and we'll bring you. We want to hear it straight from you. We reading the chat, we trying to keep up with it. But if you want to come up and speak your piece, hey.
All right, next thing. Anybody have anything? No. Next thing I want to complain about is this idea that I think I've mentioned this in another live, but painting trees to protect them from the sun.
Mhm.
And I'm going, wow, somebody really hit the jackpot on that marketing campaign. We're now painting our trees to protect them from the sun. Like,
Mhm.
okay. So that's my initial gut reaction to it. And then I'm like, okay, I get it. The sun is maybe stronger or something because we're in that sort of cycle of whatever in the solar system. Okay. And then
Mhm.
I'm like, wait a minute. We're introducing weaker plants into our areas where the trees aren't supposed to be to begin with. And then we're going to paint them so that they can, survive here. Like, why? When are we going to stop? When are we going to stop, like, I don't know, forcing nature, I guess, instead of just leaving it alone, like letting what we have and being happy with what we have around us and eating that and growing that instead of taking the stuff from, let's say, China, because we love China, and taking
Mm.
their stuff and then bringing it here and then, oh no, it's invasive. Well, what do you know? All right, that was a whole
Mhm.
bunch of stuff. So let's go back to painting trees. I just like, oh my God, why are we painting trees? That just makes them even weaker if you don't like
Mhm.
let them acclimate to their natural surroundings. It's similar to when they stake plants and they plant the trees,
Mhm.
not plants, and then they wrap something around them and then they have some collar and then stake it to the ground because they don't want it to sway too much in the wind and breaking up the root system. But then some people take it too far and they're like really like tight on the collar so that the tree's not moving at all. And then at some point when you take off the collar, now the tree is like, well, I don't know what to do with myself because I've been something has been
Mhm.
holding me up this whole time, and now that thing is gone. So what is this? What is this like human
You know
thing
what? I
of this?
okay. I have so in my area here in Southern California, we grow a lot of avocados.
Mhm.
I will tell you commercially, almost every avocado tree I have ever seen is painted and especially in the early stages,
Mhm.
and most of them are staked. The avocado tree itself is very finicky.
Mhm.
And most of the avocado trees are grown in a open space. So no like taller, higher trees to
Mhm.
break up the sun or any kind of shade or whatever. And young avocado trees just they can't take the intense direct sunlight and heat from day one. How do I know that personally? After at least six avocado trees, because I bought them in pairs, because for most avocados, you need an A and a B. That's a whole nother topic, but it is what it is. And I planted them in the area where I have my 6 mini raised beds. That is open, a full 100% sun. There's no trees, no shade, no. I mean, you getting it from sunrise to sunset,
Mhm.
and every one of them avocados died because they needed some type of protection. They needed the sun broken up, not the direct sunlight.
Right.
So here in my area, and I see it, almost every tree is painted. And if you're gonna paint your trees, paint them. If you're not gonna paint them, don't paint them. My issue so much is not painting or not painting, but what you paint them with. Now, go to Home Depot, get the cheapest white latex paint, 50% latex paint, 50% water, brush the tree, the trunk and the major branches. Again, your garden, your rules. I'm just not going to paint my trees with house paint. Like you can, and people have done it. It's been successful. Like I said, in the commercial business, they do it all the time. Um, I'm gonna use something like IV Organics,
Mhm.
which is kind of like a natural, I guess, alternative. And why the natural stuff is the alternative?
Right.
That go for a whole bunch of stuff. Please, Joy, you better put the cat in the bag right now. Put the cat in a bag. But when natural becomes the alternative,
There you go. You
okay.
can
So
have
for
your rant.
me, right, that's a rant right there. But for me though, the painting the trees, that's something that I see, like with my own eyes, not on a
Mhm.
YouTube video, not in a article online. And I know specifically for avocado trees, they do it, and it's because of the tree itself. Now we can say that over time, the trees, I don't know, domesticating the avocado or whatever, we have weakened the tree
Mhm.
so that in order to mass produce it or to make it um as fruitful or as abundant as people want it to be, now you have to put on these external and additional factors and methods, the
Right.
latex paint, staking a tree until it dies, because some trees are staked when they're young,
Mhm.
to help provide the support so they can concentrate on root development. But that also goes into the soil that you put the tree in, because some soil is not supportive of good, strong roots. And so
Right.
you stake in a tree while it's developing weak roots,
Yeah.
and you can hardly ever remove the stakes, because even over the years, as the tree grows, the foundation is weak.
Mhm.
Y'all, you know what? I feel a sermon coming on. I'm putting the cat in the bag. I'm done, Joy. I'm done. Girl, I got Bible verses all throughout my head. I'm done. Stop, 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 stop. All right.
But that's just my argument as a whole, is that like somebody decided that humans now needed to eat avocados to be healthy. And then now we have to mass produce avocados. And since we can't get them from Mexico because we're having issues politically, you know, or wherever, now we have to grow it all ourselves in not ideal conditions. And then now we're having to put inputs into it that's not natural. And so, how good are those avocados in the end of the line when we're eating them, when they've had to go through all this other process just so we can have avocados?
Mm-hmm.
Ah, okay,
Now, in New York, you might be able to get away with that, but in California, them's fighting
right,
words.
exactly. I know. That's why I'm over here.
People can't breathe without their avocados around here, girl. They're about to put avocados in cereal. We're about to have avocado Fruit Loops or something.
Oh, if only. At least that'd be something. Jeez, Fruit Loops.
But you're right though, and I think part of that is, and I think I mentioned that in a video I just uploaded today, or is in something I recorded, and maybe I haven't edited and uploaded yet. But I was talking about eating specifically, but we eat a lot more than what we need to eat.
Mm,
That's just point blank period. We eat more as Americans, as Westerners. We
mm,
eat more than what we need to eat. And in order to feed that excess, you have to grow more. In order to grow more, you have to inject things into nature to produce that overabundance.
right.
And it leans heavily toward us doing more, I'm going to just say synthetic things to feed the overindulgence.
Right.
Um, and you go other places around the world, and they just like, oh my God, what we eat in one meal could be maybe a couple days,
Oh yeah.
worth of food for other people. But the whole thing, painting the trees, using, not all fertilizer, but I'm just saying, like, injecting the synthetic fertilizer, because we have to have 5-pound tomatoes in 45 days instead
Mhm.
of, you know, 3-pound tomatoes in 75 to 90 days or
Right.
whatever. It's the excess, I think, that drives a lot of this stuff. So, cat in the bag.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. What did I miss? Oh, here's one. I love this one. I always see this in the comments. Mostly flowers, I guess, but if
Hmm.
it's poisonous, will it kill? Will my cat eat it? Will my dog eat it? Will my baby eat it? Eat it? I'm like,
Hmm.
why are you starving your pets and your children that they're eating those poisonous plants, people? It's just like
Not starving them. We
what?
starving. We starving the children and the pets. No.
I'm just like, what is going on? Animals are smart. They've been here a long time. I think they know what's poisonous and what's not poisonous. And even if they do, they're just going to take a nibble and be like, ew, that doesn't taste very good. Like most people, and be like, okay,
Hmm.
I'm not going to eat more of that. Why are people so like concerned? Oh my God, it's poisonous. It's going to hurt my kitty. I'm sorry.
Now, who in the chat has indoor plants or whatever, and you also have pets? Did you take into consideration, I really like X plant, but I
Ro,
can't
is Ro
have
still
it
here? I know she has
because
cats.
it's poisonous, because I've been told it's poisonous, and somehow, my pet is gonna go directly
Do
to
that.
the poison,
Yep.
the look at Chris. They're starving the cats, they're starving the dogs, they're starving the pets. Y'all, when that little meme or whatever that was that
Yeah.
came out, and they had the little song, or I heard it and I could not unhear it. And why I was dancing in the house to the little beat. They're starving the eat. Why they made a remix to it, y'all? But
Oh man. But yeah,
but yeah.
my parents we had cats when I was growing up. They had plants. I didn't know anything about them, but they would chew on them. Then they puke it up. And then now later on in my life, I realized, oh, that might have been like not good for them. But they knew
Mhm.
that. They spit it out. They didn't die from it. So I'm like,
I think also too,
oh,
if you have plants in your home, even if they are poisonous or not completely compatible with pet system, I don't think the pet goes and just devours
hmm,
a large portion, unless something about the plant is, I don't know, like, say, whatever sweet is to an animal,
right,
something attracted to them, and they eat a whole belly full of it before they realize that is not
mm,
good.
right,
I think a lot of people also, when they thinking about pets too, they also thinking about younger pet, like a kitten or a
uh,
puppy, or a younger pet that might not know, for
hmm,
whatever reason, this thing is bad. But I still don't see where pets eat a belly full of X plant or X tree,
right.
and before they realize, hey, this is not good for me, I should stop eating this. Oh wait, I ate too much. And then you see the little X's on their eyes. Hey, okay, you grow
See,
Ro is
bro.
back.
Yeah,
She's okay.
she
See, I
has them.
have cats and poisonous plants. I don't worry about them eating the plants too much. So, Grow, have any of your pets ate the plants to the point where you had to take them to the vet? Not that they ate it, okay, they threw up a little bit and then they was fine, but like to the point where you had to actually take them to the vet, pump their little stomach or whatever. Like, was it that serious? What? I'm just asking, you know.
I don't think so. I think some people are just this nature that they got to coddle everything. And they have to control everything. And
Hmm.
instead of finding out, which for the most part works out fine, it's like they got to overthink it. But yeah. But I like what Chris said. Fertilizer must be delicious. I think we're missing out. There is something to that because those animals are. I know, like when I do a fish fertilizer, my dog is all up in that. So I gotta be like, I gotta water it in with the fertilizer, and then I gotta water it in so that it's more diluted.
Go.
Ugh.
I have so I just did like a quick search right quick about garden myths, and you probably talked about most of these. We're up on the hour now, but I
No.
just want to just run down the list, not necessarily for too much of an in-depth conversation, but if any of these strike you, you know, just let me know. Epsom salt, eggshells, vinegar, earthworms, talking to plants,
Ah.
di- dish soap, banana peels, coffee grounds, avocado seeds, salts, house plants and air purification, walnut trees, pine needles, moon gardening,
Mm.
sunflowers tracking the sun, compost tea, cinnamon as a fungicide, diatomaceous earth, and mosquito repelling plants. I've heard I not in that list, a couple of them. I was like, and I heard you. I heard you. So what? Which one? So what about the Epsom salt?
Hmm. I
So
know
I
that's like
know.
for magnesium, for like
Mm,
blossom end rot. I hear it a lot.
mm-hmm.
Tomatoes with blossom end rot because they can't. That not that the soil is depleted, but the plant can't uptake it because of the watering situation. Is what I
Mm-hmm.
constantly hear, which I believe. I believe
Yeah.
this most soil, most are okay with it. But yeah, if you've been in a community where it's been developed or overdeveloped for a while, then yeah, that's in the case where you would definitely need like a soil test anyway. You should
Yeah.
take a soil test first.
I would say I think what happens with the Epsom salt is magnesium is a micronutrient. So we have the
Mhm.
macros, you know, the NPK, everybody NPK. Every bag of fertilizer is required to have the NPK numbers. Those are those three numbers for nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And a lot of people focus on those three numbers.
Right.
Those are the macronutrients, but the plants also need micronutrients, but it's in the word micro. So trace amounts, not a lot.
Right.
And say somebody did a soil test, especially like a home soil test, and it showed, oh, my soil is low in magnesium. And then they watch a couple YouTube videos on a TikTok or Instagram, some short form thing, you know, where you got to catch the person eye in like the first 15 seconds. And
Right.
it basically says, use Epsom salt, you know, to add magnesium and make your tomatoes grow. And a person goes to Walmart or something, you buy the bag of Epsom salt, and then they dump like tablespoons.
Right.
You know, you put a macro amount of a micronutrient,
Mhm.
and then you wonder why the tomato plant or the whatever, you know, is not doing well. You use too much, like more is not always better. And even sometimes depending on how stressed your plant is, dumping a lot of amendments and fertilizers will actually harm the plant more than help it.
Mhm.
Sometimes you have to ease help into a plant, especially if it's on its last leg. Don't dump a bunch of fertilizer. You
Right.
know, try to address what the problem is and try to remove away the problem as the plant is healing. And then when you see signs of recovery, i.e., new leaves, I don't know, a thicker branch, some physical form of recovery, then you can slowly add in the fertilizers and the amendments. And I would say even at, you know, half strength or whatever. And then when
Mm.
you see more growth, then, you know, so it's a process to heal and recover a plant or a tree. You don't just dump pounds of the solution. I don't, so that's yeah. Yeah, but so we went through a lot. We went through a lot, Joy. You had a
Yeah.
lot of in-depth ones. I just threw some of those other ones, kind of at the end. The cinnamon as a fungicide. Now I know that's a big thing. A lot of people use cinnamon. I saw a video somebody used. It was like, I don't have cinnamon, but I have nutmeg. And I'm thinking to myself, you must be rich too, because nutmeg costs a lot more than cinnamon. So you must be rich. You must be rich. But there was no follow-up to the video, so I'm not sure if it worked or not. The moon
Right.
gardening, yep, the moon gardening is something that's big. My grandmother, she gardened by the moon,
Mm.
and uh I mean, and it worked for her, like that was her living.
Mm.
So if her garden didn't produce, like she didn't survive. So uh, I know that that's a garden myth, but moon gardening is something that's been out for like centuries. So that's a
Mhm.
long myth. And
Yeah.
some people still garden, with moon gardening. But yeah, if anybody in the chat has anything else, we talking about Gatorade. What we talking about? Oh, with the
Give
magnesium
to
Gatorade.
magnesium. Yeah.
Hold on, Mike. Wait, are you pouring Gatorade in the garden? Did I wait? Oh, he said, "Oh, people see athletes drinking Gatorade as they sit on the sofa." What? Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. And then look,
Exactly.
David. Yeah, David said he just planted okra during the full moon. Yeah, we did. We just had a
Yeah, we
full
just
moon.
had a full. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let me see. Oh, now Chris, look, this is a whole topic. This is a whole live stream right here. But Joy, if you want to go ahead and touch that, just give a little dab to Chris, because that's important. That's a big one though. That's a
Yeah.
big
That's like what is it? Like a December topic, I guess, for us here in the north. For you guys in the south, you spend the time, you spend money every
hmm
other day. I see you all going to the garden center like every week. I'm like, what?
No, look, we be trying to hit them sales though. Yo, speaking of sales, now see, Chris, you done started something. So how much money should you spend on your garden? How much money is in your purse or your wallet? Did you pay your rent or your mortgage?
Are you fed?
Are your lights on? Do you have food in the fridge? After all of that stuff, see how much money you have left, and then a percentage of that.
Right.
That's how much you should spend on your garden.
Uh,
Um, very generally speaking, some people do, especially new gardeners. You're excited, something new. You done seen all these videos. You're seeing a lot of the after and not the before, and you going out and just buying a lot of stuff, and then you flip the switch and your lights don't come on. No, I would say start on the conservative side. I mean, the exact amount would be different for each person, but if you're just starting gardening, spend on it like a new hobby or something. I don't know, 5% of your take home pay, something like that. I don't have an exact number for you, but I would say start on the low conservative end. Try to do gardening for as free as possible. And then when you run out of the free options, the least expensive as possible. Um, Go through one or two gardening seasonings of free and very low percent of spending. Then you'll get some time and some experience under your belt, and then you can add. And I would say maybe add in specific areas each season. Don't just increase the entire, don't double your spending on everything every year. Just say, okay, you did a year of free gardening. The next year you did a year of very low cost gardening. Now you're into your third year, and I'll say, hey, I'm getting a beginner's garden. It's looking kind of good, but I wish I had, I don't know, more tomatoes. I think I want to try more fertilizer. So you would
Mhm.
increase your spending on just fertilizer. And then, then kind of work with that, not fertilizer and soil and buying metal raised beds and plus
Right.
this and plus that. Try one or two things at a time and see how they work. A lot of people say that gardening is too expensive. It's more economical to just go to the grocery store and buy the bell pepper instead of growing your own bell pepper. I think spending with gardening comes with time and knowledge and experience. Like I said, when something is new, you're excited, you're happy, you spending half your paycheck on garden stuff.
Yep.
But as you learn and grow yourself and with the community, I think you learn how to be more efficient. And somebody used that
Mhm.
word way back up in the chat. You become more efficient with gardening, and that's where you want to be. You want to hit the sweet spot for yourself. So how much should you spend? Ultimately, it depends on you, your garden, your rules. But I definitely would start at the low end and then work your way up as needed, not as wanted or as seen on TV,
You're right.
as needed. Mm-hmm.
Like for me, if in hindsight, I wish I could have spent my money better on the tools to make things
Mm-hmm.
easier, like
Mm-hmm.
hauling dirt or hauling wood chips. That's a lot of back-breaking work. Like I wish I
Mm-hmm.
had more of those convenience of of a motorized equipment or something to help
Mm-hmm.
me with that work because that was
Yeah.
a lot of backbreaking work in the beginning for me in my
Mm-hmm.
space. But if I had like a balcony, oh my god, I'd be just like with all the towers.
A lot of my tools too, I acquired over time based on necessity.
Hmm.
Like when I would go to Home Depot or the garden center or whatever, and I would be bringing home bags of soil, and those, bag 20 pounds, 30 pounds, 40
Mhm.
pounds, and I'm carrying them, like from the driveway
Yeah.
through the backyard around to the, and after, my shoulder and my back, and after I'm
Exactly.
dragging the bag and, busting it, and by the time I get to where I need to go, the bag is empty and I got a trail of soil around me. I'm like, hey, you know what? If I had a wheelbarrow or if I
Right.
had some type of rolling device where I
Mhm.
can put the soil in there and just and wheel it around, if I had a cart or something. So a lot of the tools that I purchased came from necessity, but I worked my space and then I saw what I needed. I didn't just front buy a bunch of stuff and then try to force myself to use it.
Mhm.
That's another way too to be, more efficient and more economical. Buy the things that you need. Now, do I have some stuff that's nice to have that I don't use on a regular basis? Of course.
Of course.
But I purchased, like I said, the majority of my tools and even soil and amendment and all of those things, I purchased them more out of necessity than as seen on TV, and that will help you stay in your budget. That
Yeah.
and plus when you flip the switch and the lights don't come on, that might help
All right. I think we've got enough covered for today.
you. Hmm.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. If anybody have any other things they want to bring up, feel free to do so. Um, what do we got? We are mid-August.
Hmm.
I got to get some. I have my seedlings that need to go out, but I'm just like I got to clean that bed first before I can plant something in it. So
Hmm.
that is my task for this week. I have to get it out. Otherwise, what's the point? But yeah, so that's what's upcoming for me. And we're praying for rain because we haven't had rain in so long. I've had to drag the hose around for a bit. Otherwise, I hope you all have a good week.
Yeah. I would say for me coming up is definitely I did a battle damage assessment when I went out to the garden to look to see, also now this week for me is just addressing the deficiencies in my garden, which is like every area has a deficiency, but I'm gonna work on it one area at a time instead of going outside and trying to tackle everything every day and probably wearing myself out, aggravating my injury or whatever. I'm gonna say, okay, today I'm just gonna work on patio row.
Mhm.
Now, of course, I still might water the rest of the garden like a light water or whatever, but my focus today will be patio row. And
Mhm.
depending on how much I have to do there, because y'all know that's lined up with a bunch of trees. I have my banana trees, nectar plum, peach, cocktail grapefruit, the blueberries. That's what I have to do today because I didn't do it yesterday. Y'all check out the video I did on that. I need to do my vinegar water. Here it is. 1 hour garden mitts, but it's working for me. I need to do a vinegar water treatment on my blueberries, and I use that to acidify the soil in between using some more um, slow acting. So I do that. I found this out by mistake. Very quick side note. I did 1 week. I did the vinegar, and then the next week I did the fertilizer,
Mhm.
liquid fertilizer. And then I went back and I just when I did the video, I believe I recorded that yesterday. It was either Saturday or Sunday. And I noticed how much growth I had on all 3 blueberry bushes.
Oh, good.
And that was from 1 week because before that I had did a video saying, hey, one of my blueberries is looking like I need to do something with it because the leaves started turning, and that is one sign of possibly my soil not being acidic enough. And
Mhm.
I hadn't done any treatments to the blueberry bushes in a while. So 1 week of the vinegar water treatment is about 1 to 2 tablespoons of vinegar to 1 gallon of water, just in case you wanted to know. And then the next week I did a liquid fertilizer application. And I'm telling you, the green growth, the new growth, and even baby blueberries just in that 2 week period for me in my garden. This is something that's working for those blueberry plants in containers.
Mhm.
So I'm going to continue doing that until it doesn't work. So today I need to do my vinegar and water treatment.
Awesome. All right. Our information is scrolling at the bottom if you ever want to reach out. Whatchamacallit. Thank you to everybody in the chat. We always appreciate you commenting and loving us. And anybody catching the replay, thank you so much. We appreciate you as always. I always do the sign off. You have to do a sign off too. You have a sign off, but I'll do my sign off. I will talk to you all again soon. So I'll harvest more. Bye.
And until next time, be safe, be well, and be blessed.
Oh, I have to push the button.